This is Tecker 911, episode 98, Maps Roundup.
I'm Michael Plasmeier,
And I'm Reed Dame.
and we're going to round up the top Maps websites. We have Google, Microsoft Bing Maps, Yahoo, and Mapquest. And we're going to show you what features are in all of them and what features are unique in each. Alright, so let's start with what's in all of them.
Alright, all of the mapping websites feature drag and drop with Ajax. So basically you go on the website.
And then you just click here, drag, and if you remember the really old days of the web, they had like an up, down, left, right type thing.
You reload the whole web page, takes forever.
Yeah.
However, this is an example of a non-Ajax page.
Right, this is MIT's Where Is Campus Map. Remember, you can't drag and drop. You just have to go left, wait for the whole page to reload, left, wait for the whole page to reload, and then if you wanted to zoom in, again, same deal, wait for the whole page to reload. But the whole, using Ajax is really handy because now you just zoom in.
Much quicker.
Far, far quicker. So all of the four major websites now support this.
In addition, all the mapping websites allow you to enter items, addresses, zip codes, and other locations.
Yeah, so you can enter in an address.
And a zip code, and it'll just map it for you. Pretty common, easy feature.
Type in somewhere where you want to go, and it can be the name of a business, for example, Drexel University, and it gives us the directions.
And usually it'll find the shortest or easiest directions.
Yep. You can add a third location, and then you can reorder, drag to reorder in any order that you want. I believe most of them support, you click on the map and then you can drag it somewhere, and it will take that route. So if you don't want to take Route 3 into Philadelphia, you can drag here and it will take Lancaster Avenue
There you
into
go.
Philadelphia. So
That's if you want to avoid like a neighborhood or some place you don't like. You can just do that.
yep.
In addition, they all support satellite maps. So this is an example of a satellite map with photos taken from a satellite.
Yep, satellite in the sky, you get that flat overhead view.
You can actually see the buildings and cars on the highway and stuff like that.
Yep. Traffic, all of them support traffic. So you see here, green lines indicate clear traffic, yellow lines, some traffic issues, little warning icons if there's an accident reported, and of course this is as good as the data, but all of them pretty much have traffic information for the current time.
Alright, now we can break it down to specific mapping websites features.
Yep.
Google has one feature is called Street View.
Yes, this is the coolest, Google's coolest feature. So, for example here, I've never visited Austin, Texas, so if I wanted to see what it looks like, let's say I have a particular hotel that I'm going to stay at, or I want to see what the Texas State Capitol looks like from the street. So I can drag this little man here and place it on any blue street, and this will be somewhere where Google has sent a truck around with cameras on it, and you can see here is that particular East 11th Street.
You can even go full screen if you want to and see
go.
the full.
There's that particular street in Austin, Texas. You can see what your hotel is going to look like.
There is some controversy about this feature due to the privacy implications. For example, if you go to your house and you're near a big city probably, Google will have a picture of your house. If you're standing outside it, then you're standing outside of your house, and that's kind of creepy.
Right, so there have been complaints. I think they've started blurring people's faces, and if you can request that your picture be removed. Google also supports this user photos thing, which is something we talked about in Google Earth, where Google Earth, the pictures appear as little blue dots, Here, if you're in a nearby place, you can go use your pictures, and then Google will look at the pictures that were uploaded from around this area on panoramo.com, which is their photo sharing website. And there are 2 pictures. They look a lot better quality than Google Street View, so something to check out if available. And you know, certain areas like Times Square, there'll be a lot, but this part of Texas, there were only 2, so your mileage varies on that.
In addition to driving directions, Google has the Google Transit feature.
Yes, so in certain areas, I think they support over 430 transit providers. In the Philadelphia region, they support PATCO, and SEPTA was just recently added for their train lines, bus lines coming in late summer 2009, fall 2009.
So if you're, say, at 69th Street and you wanted to get to Center City, Philadelphia.
Yeah, so we can type in 69th Street. So 69th Street, Philadelphia, and we want to get directions to, and actually we will switch that. So we will get directions to
Center City?
Yeah, let's say City Hall. Philadelphia. Doesn't know that location. Let's try 15th. 15th and Market.
Alright. And by default, it'll take you by car, but you can switch that to...
Ooh, it's not going.
No. No. Wait.
Sometimes you might have to enter in a location. There we go. I had to tell it Philadelphia.
And that's showing you by car. However, if you click public transit...
Yeah, that's actually not the right 69th Street we're talking about, but whatever. You can see here it's giving us alternate public transportation routes. So it wants us to walk to Woodland Avenue and 69th Street, so that's about 3 minutes, and we can show the walking directions. Walking directions are in beta, so they haven't mapped yet everywhere where a walkway is, where you know, where the road is safe enough to walk. They don't have like secret back paths that are pedestrian only, no cars.
So this is the Google Maps only feature, is the public transit, and it works alright for cities and stuff. Yeah,
so they say I've walked 3 miles, get on the light rail 11 line, so direction to Juniper Station, 5:01 p.m. to 5:31 p.m., and then I can get off and I'm at my destination. Really a lot better than the transit, like in SEPTA. SEPTA has a plan your route feature. It's really bad. Google's is a lot easier once you enter in the location properly, and it's definitely makes things a lot more visible. Definitely an A+ feature from Google is this public transit information. In some areas, it'll actually be connected with the Public Transit Authority's live GPS receiver on the bus, so you know in how many minutes it will come. Unfortunately, SEPTA is nowhere near doing that because they're kind of behind on everything.
The last unique feature we're going to look at from Google is Locate Me in Google Gears.
If you have Google Gears installed, which is a plugin, or Firefox 3.5, the new version of Firefox.
In addition to Google Chrome browser.
Yep. We can click the My Location button, and then it tells you where you are.
It'll use a lot of different techniques with looking at local Wi-Fi networks, I think, and your IP address of your computer to tell, but this is saying we're in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so wrong, especially since our geolocation is correct. You have to give your permission first.
Share location.
Actually, we didn't click that fast enough. But yes, it thinks we're in Austin, Texas for some reason.
So that's, I guess, a cool feature. Hopefully you know where you are right now.
And it works better for you. It actually, on like iPods and stuff which support Google Maps, they do actually have find your location, and it does tend to work a lot better.
The next mapping service we're going to be looking at is called Bing Maps from Microsoft.
Yeah, Bing Maps, formerly Live Maps, formerly MSN Maps. they can never seem to pick a name for it, is a mapping service, and of course it does the same thing that we talked about that all of them do. So let's talk about what's specific.
Specifically, this has...
let's do 3D. So 3D. So if we go, this is very similar to Google Earth, which we talked about in an earlier episode. It does require a plugin be installed in your browser, but once you do install that plugin, it works as part of the browser. So it's not like a separate application as with Google, but it is a plugin for your browser. And if we zoom in here to Boston, because we have the plugin installed, it zooms really smoothly, even though we're not yet in 3D. So we can zoom to a particular point. And then let's try going wrong. Here we go, 3D. And like Google Earth, the buttons or the building should load in a second. This is the first time I'm playing with it, so I don't really know how good it is compared to Google Earth.
Maybe this place doesn't have buildings.
No, it says downtown Boston. This definitely has buildings. So it is not working as well. Okay, another thing to try is bird's eye view. Bird's eye photo. Alright, let's turn off the 3D plugin. It could also be that our computer is so old that the 3D view doesn't really work well. So bird's eye view. Bird's eye view are taken from a airplane or a helicopter. I think this is definitely the best feature of Bing Maps. So everyone has satellite maps. Google has street view, so in a car, taken in a car. Microsoft has taken in a helicopter or a low-flying plane. And it does give you a different perspective. So you can see here, you can actually turn around. So there are 4 pictures for every location taken from the north, south, east, and west. Something to look at if you want to get a unique place, a unique look at a particular building. Like the New England Aquarium, we could rotate around that to see it from a different angle. Here we go. So that's a picture that you won't get in Google Street View because we're sort of over the bay right now, and from satellite you just see the very top of it, but now we can see sort of the facade and see that they have a tent here. Different option. One thing about, one additional feature Bing has, which is kind of small, is that if you're going on a long trip, for example, directions from Philadelphia to Boston, you can have it hide the start details. For instance, if I was to go to Boston, I would leave from my house, go through all the local streets, and then get on Interstate 476. I know how to get to Interstate 476 from my house. I don't need the first half page of directions telling me how to get from my house to the interstate. So you can actually have it hide your start details, and it'll just say drive to the Interstate 476 northbound instead of saying turn right on local road, turn left on local road, turn right, left, giving you the directions on how to get out of your development to the major roads that you live around. The next map we're going to look at is Yahoo.
Yahoo Maps, it looks kind of like Google Maps. It does have more colorful maps and kind of easier to see. I think the text is easier to see than Google Maps. And,
yeah. Google or Yahoo Maps really is more of the same. It doesn't really have too many unique features, but I think it does have the best user interface out of all of them. The most colorful, certainly. It is really fast, I think, for scrolling. Really seems to work well. But not too much unique here. But it does the basics pretty well. Last one we're going to look at is Mapquest. Mapquest is the name most people associate with maps. They were the last of the big 4 mapping services to switch to that AJAX fast moving around technology, but they finally have it, so that's good. They do have the directions here are they do have all those old boxes where you do type in like each of the sections. So it's another thing to look at, and hopefully MapQuest is not too much in the innovation. They are doing stuff around like an iPhone application, but a lot of people use the site just because they know and they have the URL mapquest.com memorized, but it definitely isn't the most unique around all of ours. One thing to keep an eye on is openstreetmap.org, it's definitely not one of the major providers. What they're trying to do is they're trying to build a street map that's unencumbered by any copyrights or patents or anything, and is editable by the community, kind of like the Wikipedia of mapping. The US, they have pretty good coverage because they imported federal government data, which is not covered by copyright in the United States. It's a little out of date. I wouldn't use it to actually go anywhere. But it is definitely a cool thing to look at. Volunteers have those GPS trackers like we talked about in episode 85, and they'll actually map out areas. It has better coverage. You know, the coverage is really dependent on if there's an active volunteer covering that type of area. Coverage of these services in the United States is good, but they may not have coverage abroad, so one thing OpenStreetMaps is trying to do is gain that coverage. Google also has a program in developing countries where they let people submit their own map changes, but then those map changes are basically owned by Google. So OpenStreetMap is another thing to look at. I wouldn't actually use it for anything, but
it's a nice project.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice project, and hopefully one day it'll be good enough. Sort of like how it's probably like at the point now where Wikipedia has become so popular, it's putting encyclopedias like Encarta out of business. Encarta said they were going to shut down. Probably part of that is because everyone uses Wikipedia. World Book and Britannica, I think, are not really making money much anymore because Wikipedia has become so powerful. So maybe one day this will become as powerful as Wikipedia and be the #1 mapping site. But right now it's of limited use. So, Reed, what's your favorite of the 4 mapping services?
I personally prefer to use Google Maps because, I don't know, I never really got into MapQuest. I just like Google Maps in
Just because
general.
you're used to it. I like Google Maps because of the street view, I think is really cool. And the public transit, I think, is really cool from Google Maps, that they let you, use public transit when the information's available, and it's definitely far easier than whatever local transit authorities plan your trip thing. So local transit authorities, Google Maps, we want it, please, 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 please.
There is one thing to remember when using any internet mapping service, however, is that the information they tell you is not guaranteed to be accurate, and you shouldn't rely on it for any sort of medical or really important purposes. Like,
yeah.
There was like this guy, he got a Google Maps or a MapQuest or something, drove off into the woods, and it was like snowy, and he died. So you want to make sure that the way you're going makes sense, that they're not taking you down some road that is under construction. They don't know if the roads are under construction.
Some actually have, like traffic information will have construction information. So there is a bit of construction information, but yeah, definitely if you live in an area where local conditions matter. Around here, local conditions don't really matter, like everything's paved. Local conditions only matter like if it's snowing for like 3 days in the winter, in which case basically don't go anywhere.
Like in Alaska.
Yeah, but if you are in Alaska or you are in a place where the roads aren't paved and they might be washed out or flooded or too muddy or too snowy, they don't have local conditions on there yet. But they are, I think, generally more up to date than they have been any time in the past.
Just be careful
when
using internet mapping. I'm Reed Dame.
And I'm Michael Plasmeier. Enjoy your maps. To watch this episode again or to watch any of our prior episodes, you can visit our website, 911.tecker.net, T-E-C-K-E-R. And on the website we have our prior episodes, as well as you can view them directly on the website, or you can download them in WMV for Windows, iPod or QuickTime format for your iPod, or if you have iTunes installed, an MP3 audio-only version of the show, and a WMV HD version of the show, which you can download via BitTorrent, that looks really, really clear and in pristine HD quality. And instructions for downloading via BitTorrent are also on the site. On the right-hand side, we have more information about us and about each of the members of the show, as well as quick links to all of our prior episodes and links to the RSS feeds for each of the formats that we release the show in, and links to subscribe to the show in iTunes if you have an iPod, an Apple TV, an iPhone, any Apple device. You can click on that link in either video or audio format. You can also in iTunes search for Tecker, T-E-C-K-E-R, in the iTunes store, and then you can find our podcast that you can subscribe to free. Also, if you do not have an iPod, if you have like a generic MP3 player, then you can use the you can still listen to our show if on our website you subscribe to this MP3 audio version in a feed catcher, in a podcatcher like Juice. You can search for Juice on Google, download that program, and then it'll load the shows automatically onto your generic MP3 playing device. If you have any questions about the show or about technology, you can send us an email at 911@tecker.net, or you can leave us a voicemail at 610-572-2847. Thank you so much for watching Tecker 911.